Okay folks, so right, down here again at the Hobbles at Herwood House, so they've kindly let me use the kitchen. So we're going to do a little game pie today. So it's November, we're in the thick of game season now, so we have game available all of the time. We always have venison and duck, but at the moment we've got pheasant, partridge, mallard, you name it, we can get hold of it for you. So in our mix here we've got mostly venison, but we've got a little bit of mallard in there, a little bit of pheasant as well. I'm just going to coat that with some flour for two reasons. We're going to seal it off. The flour is going to help give a bit of body to our sauce. It's also going to help colour our stew as well. So we're just going to start sealing that off in batches. We don't want it to overcrowd the pan. So while we're searing that off, getting a bit of colour onto it, I'm going to talk you through the rest of the ingredients. I've got some onions, some bacon. It's dry cured bacon from Sykes House Farm. We've got some chestnut mushrooms, some rosemary, thyme, bay leaf, and some red wine. So first things first, I'm going to start searing this meat off. Once it's got a good bit of colour onto it, it's going to go into our big pan. We're going to cook it for a few hours. Remember, we've got some flour on there, so that's going to toast and give extra colour, and that's going to give some body to our sauce. So once it's got a good bit of colour onto it, we're just going to get it into the saucepan. I'm going to put our second batch of game into the frying pan to colour up. So we've got our game, it's all sealed off in there now. We're going to put a good couple of knobs of butter in there because game, like I said earlier, it tends to be quite lean, so it can always take a little bit of fat when it's cooking, so we're going to give plenty of butter in there. We've also got some bacon in there, so bacon and venison in particular go really well together, so they're going to go in. Like any other stew that your mum or your gran or whoever might make, onions go in as well. We're just going to get that sizzling and searing away. So once your meat's sealed off, we can add our bit more butter and a bit of olive oil just to get it going really. The game's really lean, so it doesn't give off a lot of fat. We're going to add some dry cured bacon to that. We've got some onions that have gone in there, and we're going to put some chestnut mushrooms. We're just going to give that a good sear and get the heat cranked up on there. And hopefully give the onions and the bacon just a little bit of colour. Try and get a bit of the fat out of that bacon and get it sizzling away. So we'll probably give that 5 or 10 minutes just to get a little bit of heat in there and get things going. So as you can see, that's sizzling away nicely and perfect. It's just started to catch a little bit on the pan. Now before it starts to burn, this is perfect. What you want to do is add your red wine to there. We've got about a cup of red wine in there. And then you want to just move that around to lift all of that stuff from the bottom of the pan, because that's all of your colour and your flavour. So you want to lift all of that stuff up, and we're just going to let that wine reduce now by about a half until it goes almost syrupy. So just leave that ticking away. So we've got here, our wine's come down, it's almost syrupy now. So we're going to add our herbs to that. So we've got some fresh thyme, some fresh rosemary and some bay leaves. They're all going to go into the pan. You can straight away start to smell that. And then we're just going to cover with beef stock here. So I've used True Foods beef stock. We sell it online and also in the shop and to our trade customers. It's a fantastic product. And most of the top chefs in the country are using it now in their kitchens. So the days of big stock pans on 24 hours a day with the current climate isn't really done anymore. So it's a great product and a lot of these top chefs are using it. So we just want to give it a good seasoning. And then we're going to do an old chef trick which is called a cartouche. So it's a piece of grease-proof paper which we've fashioned into a circle, and we're just going to cover that almost like a little lid, and I'm going to drop the heat down just to a simmer. The reason I've used that is instead of using a lid which keeps all the liquid inside, it still allows a lot of the steam to come out, so the sauce will still reduce but the meat and everything else will stay moist underneath. So It's a good little trick there if you're making a soup or a stew. So we're just going to drop the heat to a gentle simmer and leave that ticking away for sort of probably 2 or 3 hours really. So our venison pie mix is done, it's cooled down. Leave it in the fridge if you can for as long as, if you can do it the day before, great. We're just going to make a quick pie lid. We're going to serve them in these nice earthenware dishes. So cut around it like so, but just give yourself about 1 centimetre spare. Doesn't have to be perfect. That's going to be your pie lid there. So slightly bigger, and we're just going to, when our pie mix is in, we're just going to pinch that around the side and seal it. So this is our pie mix. This has been on for about 2 and a bit hours now. But as you can see, the meat's still really tender and juicy in there, but all the liquids have managed to come out of it. So we can get rid of our lid now. Any bay leaves or rosemary that you can see, you can pick that out. Again, be careful obviously, but that's fine. We're just going to finish that with a little bit of red currant jelly. Any shop bought red currant jelly is fine. Just a good healthy spoon in there. That's going to give the sauce a nice gloss. It's going to give it a little bit of sweetness. And it's just let that bubble away and cook through it. It's just going to help thicken that sauce slightly as well. And there we have our game pie mix. Now, if you can let this cool down completely before you put it into your pie, that's the best case scenario. So overnight's the best. So even if you make it 2 or 3 days before you want to use your pie, I'd recommend doing that. If you put that straight in your pie dish now with your pastry's going to go all soggy and it's not going to be much fun. So bring that to the boil, let your red currant jelly melt, check it for seasoning, and then cool it down for as long as you can. Right guys, so we've got our pie mix which we made yesterday. So fill it up to the top. This would easily serve 2 people, 1 pie, but if you wanted to serve it with perhaps a nice venison steak and something a bit posher with a nice pie to share in the middle, I'd recommend doing something like that. We're just going to put our pie lids on the top and just squeeze it in around so it's sealed. If you wanted to make it look a bit nicer, you could always crimp it a little bit by just sort of pinching it together all the way around like that. Just so it had a slightly more decorative look. But you just want to seal that, and then we're just going to, I always think poking a hole in the top just to let a little bit of steam out as it cooks. And then we're just going to put those on a tray, put them in about 170-degree oven, a nice little bit of egg wash on the top, and we're going to bake those for about, I would say, 40 minutes. Right, so our pie. Yes, look at that. So it's just starting to bubble through the top there now. So we're just going to let that sit for a couple of minutes. Okay, so here we have it, moment of truth. Game pie. So nice pastry lid. Hopefully should have some lovely rich pie. Perfect with a big dollop of mash. And hopefully this nice crusty bits of pastry just come off the side to dip. That, some nice braised cabbage, a pile of mash, and there we have it.